Hello everyone, welcome to the Now What podcast. My name is Glenn Sharp. I'm the President and CEO of Sharp Leadership Development. This is episode 11 and we are in beautiful St. Johnsbury, Vermont. I'm in a hotel room. I have a client workshop tomorrow and I thought it'd be kind of cool to tape the video from a different location other than my studio. So that's where we are this episode. We are going to go over the performance appraisal. As I mentioned in episode 10, the performance appraisal season is here. A lot of you, not all of you, but a lot of you are scrambling to do your performance appraisals by the end of the year. That's when they're due. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to do an episode on performance appraisals. Let's start off with number one. If you're new to the podcast, this podcast is named Now What, which is also the name of the new book that I put out. And the book is about Johnny, me coaching Johnny. He is an unbelievable mechanic. He was so good at being a mechanic that they made him manager of mechanics. Now what? He doesn't know how to do the things that managers are required to do. And one of those things is the performance appraisal. Johnny really struggled with this. He had lots of questions during our coaching journey in this book. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to go over with you guys today. So I'll tell you what I told Johnny in the book, and that is I want you to think about the performance appraisal. I want you to think of it in the same light as overall performance management. I call performance management the performance appraisal, right? The performance appraisal should be all the conversations, the good, the bad, and the ugly, up to and including the day you sit down and go over their merit increase. That ends the performance management or the performance appraisal season. Right? And by the way, there should be no surprises in that performance appraisal. If you did your job, if you went over everything that you should during the course of the year, this should be a very, very easy process. They know what you're proud of them for. They know what you need or what they need to improve upon, right? And you've had those conversations throughout the year. This is just kind of a review. I want you to remember the following because it's unbelievably important. The goal of the performance appraisal should be to get to development, right? Because we already went over all that stuff during the course of the year. I want to get to development. But to get to development, you obviously have to go through the performance appraisal process. And that's really what I want to talk to you about also today. So let's say a month before the performance appraisal, you send your employee a note and let them know, hey, listen, I want you to make sure you understand you are going to be doing most of the talking during the course of our time together. So here's a form, here's a couple of questions I want you to answer, but I want you to think about the year and I want you to think about, number one, what do you think went well? And number two, what would you like to do over again if you could? But please make sure that you bring some game to the performance appraisal. You are doing most of the talking. So I know some of you have some forms, some of you have some protocols already that your company has you abide by. Some people do pre-performance appraisal worksheets that they send to you and you use that as a way to fill out your performance appraisals. Whatever you do, make sure that you're preparing your folks well ahead of time. And this is green line activity, by the way. Right? Remember the green line versus the red line. This is doing all that work up front so that it goes smoothly later on. So then, of course, let's get to the day of the performance appraisal. If you've already prepped them that they need to prepare, they need to have these questions answered, or they need to think about what they want to say. So imagine now we go over the birthday cake, right? And that's basically what I do in the beginning of the performance appraisal. I say to them, as soon as we sit down, hey, remember what we talked about, right? You are doing most of the talking today. That means I don't want to see shoulder shrugs. I don't want to hear one-word answers. I want you to give it up, man. This is your time. This is your time for you to celebrate. I'm really proud of you, but you've got to do most of the talking. We agreed. And there's the foundation of the birthday cake. And once they agree, that's when you go to the next level and you ask them the question, right? And this is the question I always ask every single person in the performance appraisal. Again, I prepped them for this already, so they should have it at the ready. But I asked them, what do you think you did well? And what would you do over again if you could? And then I shut up. It's their turn to speak. And the interesting part about that question, especially if you gave them time to think about it, especially if you force them to answer, is they bring up 95% of what I put on the performance appraisal. And that's the key right there. The reason why I do it is, number one, I want them to do the talking, but number two, it's so much easier to transition from what you wrote on the performance appraisal to something that they just brought up, right? So if they say something like, and by the way, they always bring up the negative stuff, but if they say something like, yeah, no, I screwed up in October, I hated the fact that I messed up that project, I might say something to the effect of, listen, man, I know you had a tough time in October, but I'm proud of you, man. And I wrote that on your performance appraisal. I wrote that, yeah, you had a tough time with that, but you also recovered nicely. You did not make the same mistake twice, and you fixed what was broken. Right? So it's so much easier to transition from what you wrote on the performance appraisal if they bring it up already. And again, they bring up so much. They bring up most of the stuff. And even if they don't bring up a few things, I will bring it up. Right? But I'm going to let them speak first. So that's the middle of the birthday cake. And of course, the candle of birthday cake is to get to development, which I've already prepared them for. Right? So before we get to development, let's go over some of the finer things in the performance appraisal, kind of the meat of the performance appraisal, if you would. Typically, with the performance appraisal, you have sections. And the sections pretty much have a score of 1 through 5. Some of you might have it a little bit different, but that's what most people go through. And then you score them 1 through 5. There's usually a small comment section to put. And then at the end of the performance appraisal and the end of scoring them in all those sections, you have strengths and weaknesses, overall section, whatever. I always subscribe to the rule of threes. Right? And the rule of threes is basically no more than 3 things in each section. I would rather someone go narrow and deep than shallow and wide. I don't care if I have to stay very, very general. No more than 3 things per section, especially at the end. There's going to be 3 strengths, 3 developmental areas, and that's it. If I have to expand upon that, in terms of getting specific, I will, but I don't want them to get overwhelmed. Right? I want to make sure, by the way, they're equal in terms of length as well. I don't want 12 pages of developmental opportunities and like just 2 paragraphs of strengths. So you have to stay consistent, but the rule of threes has always helped me out. It's kept things simple, and I like simple, and I think it'll serve you well in addition to serving me well. So the other thing I want you guys to think about is the following. Be prepared for certain scenarios. Let's go over the hardest question I've ever been asked, and that is, imagine the situational leadership model. Right? Remember D1, D2, D3, and D4? I was asked by a D4 one time, they were really referring to a D2. Why should I work as hard as I do when that person over there does half the work I do and we basically get the same merit increase? And he was right. They basically do. It's not that wide of a range of what people get from a percentage standpoint anyway. And I looked at him and I said, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? 50 cents an hour, $1 an hour? Because I can't give you any more money, right? And those of you that have done performance appraisals, you guys know that getting more money is like getting, it's like an act of God. I mean, it's just not going to happen, right? So I look at the D4 and I literally say to them, what are we talking about? Because if you're asking for more money, I can't give it to you. Here's what I can do, though. I can delegate some responsibilities to you. I can train you and put you on the path to be a supervisor, to be a manager, even to replace me. That guy over there, that D2, I just hope he comes in on time, right? He's not going to get that. You will, though, because you worked hard. So I'm offering you, Mr. D4, I'm offering you a career, right? And if that's cool with you, we'll start tomorrow. We'll start, relatively soon, right? And every single time they have said to me, all right, good. Now, believe me, they'll take both. They would like to have the money too. That would be great. But in the real world, that's just not reasonable. But boy, when I offer them a career, boy, does their demeanor change. And that's what they really want anyway. They want an opportunity to make a salary. They want an opportunity to really get to the next level. And that is something that is very attractive to them. Right? The D2, they have no shot at that. Right? And that kind of eases their mind in regards to whether or not it's fair. When it comes to developmental opportunities, fair is not equal. I want you guys to remember that phrase. Fair is not equal. I have to offer them both developmental opportunities, both the D4 and the D2. However, the D4 is going to have much more advanced opportunities than the D2 would have, right? Think about a sports team that you may have played on. The top players, they certainly weren't held to the same standards that the bottom players were. And the same thing holds true for employees. That D4 is going to I'm going to give those guys opportunities that are front-facing to the executive team. And that's what I'm really offering them. Because how do you think you get promoted? When an executive, when a president or a VP sees a D4 in action, they come to me and they go, "Who is that? That guy was awesome." I'll say to them, "I told you." I mean, that's how you get promoted, right? And that's what I'm offering to that D4. So that's a fantastic way to answer that question, right? And then, of course, the wrap up, the final thing, one of the final things anyway that I say during the performance appraisal is let's talk about developmental opportunities. Again, I will use the birthday cake. I'll literally say to them, here's the bottom of the birthday cake, by the way. What do you want? Right? What do you want? Now, I should have some idea already if I did my job during the course of the year, but what do you want in terms of opportunities? Do you want to just see how it goes? Do you want to be a VP one day? Do you want to go as far as you want or as far as you can? Do you want to just take on some more responsibilities and stay an individual contributor? What do you want? And how they answer is how I'm going to actually go about that. So if they say, "Glenn, listen, man, I just, I inherited a bunch of money. I'm cool, all right? I don't need to be a manager, but I'm certainly interested in helping you out. I'm certainly interested in taking on some more projects, but I don't have any desire to be a manager." We go one way, right? We go a completely different direction. But if they say to me, "I want to go as far as I can. I want to be a VP one day. Train me." Then typically what I'm going to do once they tell me the bottom of the birthday cake, the second level is going to be, all right, let's describe what it means to be a manager. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to let them know it's unbelievably rewarding being a manager, but sometimes it can suck, right? And sometimes it's tough. And oh, by the way, in my opinion, you cannot be someone's friend and be their manager. It's really, really tough. Are you willing to go through that kind of thing? Are you willing to separate yourself from the rest of the employee base? And if they say, "Yeah, I'm willing to do whatever it takes," okay, let's go over the developmental plan for the year. Let's start off with, what do we do January 1? How are we going to train you? What kind of developmental opportunities are there? Do I get you a certification? Do I coach you? Do I have a peer coach you? Right? Do I select someone in another department that you can mirror? There are lots of opportunities. There's lots of different developmental opportunities at my disposal. All right, so let's talk about a plan. And that's really what we talk about in regards to the performance appraisal, right? That's the day of and the end of the performance management process. And that's why, in my opinion, it's an easy process, right? By the way, it is, if it's in the budget and you have the means, I would highly recommend taking the person out to eat, right? Even make sure that you, as the manager, travel to them, not them travel to you. Show them that you're making the effort. Show them that you understand that it's a special day. I understand that not all of you have that at your disposal, but boy, I can tell you this, and I'll kind of leave you with this story. I had an employee one time. I traveled to Toledo to meet him, right, from Dayton. And we had a great time, and I took him to dinner, and we spent about 3 hours talking, and it was fantastic. And on the way back, I stopped for gas, and of course I checked my phone, and he sent me this really long email. And basically, to sum up the email, he basically said to me, "I'm 54 years old. That was the first time anyone has ever gone over my performance appraisal with me." He goes, "Thank you for that. It really meant a lot to me. It really meant a lot that you came to see me. I aspired to kind of be in your position one day, and I really took to heart what you said. I really want to go that extra mile. But all I want to tell you, Glenn, is I can't tell you how much me and my family all thank you for what you did for us today." And that's the reason why you get into management right there, those kind of notes. But it meant something to that person. It was so special to them But the heartbreaking part was 54 years old. That's the first time anyone has ever gone over the performance appraisal with them. That's embarrassing as a manager and a director to hear. All right, so please make sure that you make it a special day. That would be my biggest piece of advice to you. So I hope all this helps. Much of what I just talked about is in the book, Now What? Once again, if you haven't picked it up yet, I think this would be a great Christmas present. I think it would be a great gift to start the new year off right. So pick it up. It's available on Amazon, obviously an ebook and paperback. I think you guys will really enjoy it. In episode 12, we're going to start a series. I thought it'd be kind of cool to start a sales series. I have several clients who are asking me to help them in regards to sales training, and I thought it would be pretty cool to do so. So we'll have a couple of different episodes on sales and sales techniques. In the meantime, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I wish you all the luck in the world in your management leadership journey, and I'll see you in episode 12.